So moving right along, right? The NCAA revises the what is being called the Rich Paul rule. Yeah, so the NCAA revises what's being called the Rich Paul rule. I will only address it as the Rich Paul rule because I believe it was created to deter the next Rich Paul, right? So I didn't get a chance to talk about the original version of the Rich Paul rule on this show because it wasn't, the timing was off. The timing was off and I didn't really have time to get on live and talk about it. I apologize. But I will talk about it briefly right now, like the original version. So the original version, pretty much the meat and potatoes of the rule, the Rich Paul rule, was agents that were trying to represent college players that were testing the NBA market entering the draft needed a 4-year bachelor's degree. That was pretty much the meat and potatoes. They also needed to complete testing at NCAA headquarters. And I just feel like that rule in general was trash, bro. Like, why all of a sudden we need a rule, right? For these type of rules for agents, right? So for those who don't know who Rich Paul is, if you're a sports fan, you definitely know who he is. But if you don't know who Rich Paul is, he's LeBron's agent and one of the most powerful agents in the NBA right now. He represents the likes of Draymond Green and a few other stars in the NBA. Like I said, he's one of the most powerful agents in the NBA right now. And before I get into the new revised version of the Rich Paul rule, because like I said, that's the only thing I'm calling it. Here's why I think it happened, right? Here's why I think it happened, right? Darius Bosley, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, Baisley. Rich Paul got this young man a $1 million internship at New Balance, right? Where he did not compete in any NCAA or any college basketball, but he got $1 million just to train with New Balance, right? And then he entered the 2019 draft. This is a fact, but Marlon, I think it's more of trying to deter other people like him, right? So Paul got Darius Bazley that $1 million internship, right? And this is why I think this is a very important and why it caused them to make the Rich Paul rule. Think about it. Darius Bazley was a lotto pick, right? And he did not play any NCAA basketball all year. He trained all year. What happens when other agents like Rich Paul can start getting more and more college basketball players millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars to sign internship deals with these major brands, right? And get them to forego that 1 year of college. What product does the NCAA have to put on the floor? Bro, he's literally taking away their free labor. Rich Paul literally found a way for these young men to make money and take away the NCAA's free labor, and the NCAA could no longer take advantage of these young men. Rich Paul found a loophole to do that. I believe this is the first time anything like this has ever happened. That a young man signed a $1 million internship to train with the sport brand. Right? The NCAA does not like that. The product that they put on the floor is these young talents. The reason why they make so much money is because these guys are damn near working for free. I don't want to hear the whole spiel of that they get a scholarship, free tuition. None of these guys even graduate. I mean, of course some of these guys graduate, but what I'm talking about, the superstar talent, never graduate from college. Never. One and done. Free labor for the NCAA. The NCAA don't even have to keep up their full end of the bargain when it comes to these kids, because they know that they're going to be gone in a year. They don't even have to put up all the money that they pledge to put up for these kids. Because when you sign a scholarship, the scholarship is supposed to be for 4 years or until you violate whatever terms or agreements in that contract, right? So the NCAA, they don't even have to live up to that agreement when it comes to these kids. Terrence, that's a fact. Big Brother is not having it. So when they saw that, I think they went to work in trying to, the NCAA went to work and tried to advise a plan to stop more people like Rich Paul. They can't stop Rich Paul at this point because he's too big, right? He's too big of an agent at this point. So you cannot stop Rich Paul, but what you can do is deter the next Rich Paul, right? So Rich Paul also came out and you know, not only did Rich Paul speak out, but other NBA players spoke out, especially LeBron. LeBron said they big man. That's a fact, Bron. They big man. They don't want to see they don't want to see the food being taken out their mouth and going directly to these young kids. You feel me? So, like, for instance, right? Before I move on to my next point, for instance, like, say for instance, Zion Williamson had Rich Paul before he went to college. And then Rich Paul got Zion Williamson a multi-million-dollar Nike or Jordan brand endorsement to go train before he go into the draft. Right? That's a fact, Chris. You know, that's my job, is trying to say it a little bit nicer. I could get real gutter with it, but I can say it a little bit nicer. So imagine if Zion Williamson signed with a multi-million-dollar deal to intern at a sport brand. Imagine how much money does the NCAA lose. And more players who coming up, star players, are seeing that they could get a mill off rip and not even play college basketball. They're going to be looking for that option. They're going to be looking for Rich Paul's. Right? And the NCAA had to find a way to try to deter that. And the best way to do it is to stop people like Rich Paul. Right? So, like I was saying, a lot of NBA players, a lot of backlash from a lot of NBA players, namely LeBron James, the big name, that spoke out about it. Said they big mad, but the wheels is already turning, which is fact. They can't stop it now. It's already happening. Rich Paul himself also spoke about it. And one of the biggest points that he made to me, which makes a whole lot of sense, right? There's 2 points that he made. He said that this rule is meant to deter people that comes from disenfranchised neighborhoods and people of color, where college and a 4-year degree is not necessarily an option for them. And they don't necessarily have the means to pursue a bachelor's degree. But they want to pursue a career in being a sports agent, or want to end up being the next Rich Paul. This rule was meant to deter that. He also said, Rich Paul also said, does anyone really believe a 4-year degree is what separates an ethical person from a con artist? Like, if the NCAA could really sit there and say, if the NCAA could sit there and say that this bachelor degree, it will separate the con artists from the ethical people, you can't. Which only leads to the point that you're just trying to stop the next Rich Paul from being produced. You're trying to stop these. This is a fact. This is a fact. Rich Paul also said, you know what? This is what's happening because they want to implement it in a small portion. Because what happens when you implement these kind of policies in a small portion, people forget about it and it becomes the norm. So now you can implement it on a bigger scale. Now you can impose these kind of qualifications on the NBA level and literally wipe out the next Rich Paul from happening. I mean, granted, I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't go and try to get their degree to pursue whatever career that they want, but to impose that this is the only way that you could be able to represent college kids that's looking to test the market for the NBA is outrageous. It's outrageous. Yeah, Brian, you already know that was definitely an ice sphere. It's melting. I'm talking. It's hot under these lights. Yeah, but so now after all the backlash and Rich Paul speaking out on the NCAA's Rich Paul rule, like I said, that's all I'm ever going to call it because that's what it is. The NCAA revised and laid out a new 5-point criteria for agents looking to represent college kids, which I still feel. All right, before I even get into my thoughts about the new revised, let me just lay out the new 5-point criteria. 1, have a bachelor's degree and or a certified in good standing with the National Basketball Players Association. So having a degree is no longer the only way it's not mandatory for you to have a 4-year college degree. For you to be, this is fact, NCAA is whack. But the bachelor's degree is not the only way you can represent these players now. You can either have that and or be certified and in good standing with the National Basketball Players Association, right? Then you have to have your National Basketball Players certification for a minimum of 3 consecutive years. Then the next one is maintain professional liability insurance. Then the next one is complete the NCAA qualification exams. And of course, it wouldn't be right if the NCAA wasn't getting their coin, pay the required fees. I still feel like this criteria is a load of bullshit and is meant to deter the next Rich Paul. For reasons like maintain a certification for 3 consecutive years, bro. Like most of these people who's trying to get into pardon self, my laptop about to die, I need to plug it in. Most of the people who's trying to get into the business of being a sports agent are working with college kids, so they won't have 3 years experience, right? It's just it's a whole load of bullshit, man. It really is. NCAA should be severely ashamed of themselves. They've been getting away with murder and free labor pretty much for as long as we can remember. They've made billions of dollars a year for as long as we can remember. And they're just big mad that someone finally found a loophole. They don't get money. This is the thing. This is why so many college athletes get in trouble, because they be broke and in college. Right? You got a lot of these athletes come from impoverished neighborhoods where their family can't afford to keep supporting them abroad, away from home, right? So a lot of these college athletes, yes, they getting free food and room and board and a free education that most superstar athletes in college will not see a degree anyway, but they really don't be having money. They really don't be having money, so a lot of times they get in trouble. And Rich Paul found a loophole to get these young men bread before entering the draft. And NCAA didn't like that. They didn't like it at all. And that's sad. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Like, it's sad that this is where we come to, like, that the system won't let you try to cut you off at the ankles every time. But I got news for the NCAA. It's too late. The light has already been shown and shed on a way for these young men to get out and not work for free. Christopher, like I said a few minutes ago, yes, they're afraid of losing control, right? But if the superstar athletes in the NCAA don't play for the NCAA, they have an inferior product to put on the floor. Nobody want to watch a whole bunch of 3-star recruits play basketball. You want to see the Zion Williamsons. You want to see the John Morants. You feel me? You want to see these people play. That's where all the ratings are. That's where all the money is. And if they're putting out an inferior product, guess what? Them ratings go down, so does the sponsorship dollars. Rich Paul just dawned a new day for these young men to get the coin that they very well deserve after being taken advantage of for so many years by the NCAA. I don't even understand how the NCAA so quickly wanted to impose these rules, but they had the opportunity for years to even give these kids that play for the NCAA a work study pay. What kids get paid to do work study in college, right? I'm not saying you have to pay them a whole bunch of money, but put some kind of coin in their pocket. When you making billions a year, billions. Oh, they making billions a year, the NCAA. And they're sick right now that Rich Paul found that loophole. Shout out to Rich Paul for being an inspiration for young people coming up and wanting to follow in his footsteps. You feel me? And I used the picture above me that says the Kingmaker from Sports Illustrated for a reason. Because I don't know why it's being swept under the rug as a light thing that a kid that never played a single game in the NCAA, wasn't even drafted to the NBA, is a millionaire. Is a millionaire. That's a big freaking deal. And it should be talked about and celebrated that Rich Paul found a way to make that happen. I hope to see more players follow in the footsteps of what's the boy name? I keep on forgetting the boy name. Darius Baisley. They're going to have to now. Terrence, this is a fact. They're going to have to now because what we're seeing is a few other players skipping college and going to work out independently, or they're going to take the route of Darius Baisley whenever they can. But it's a new day. Going to a D1 school is not the end all be all for these kids anymore. There's options and there's ways for them to get money. And I don't blame them. Young men, put your coin above going for that one and done. If you know you're going to be a one and done, there's no reason for you to even go to college. To be perfectly honest. If you want to go back and get your degree at some point, I applaud that. But if you're going to be a one and done and you know you have the talent to be a first round draft pick off the rip, you should do your thing, man. Shout out to Rich Paul. Shame on the NCAA. Moving on to the next topic.